Hi, my name's Jennifer, and this is my story. For about the last 8 years, I began experience a lot of fatigue, being very tired, and I started to have like exercise intolerance. I felt winded all of the time. I couldn't seem to catch my breath when I would exercise. I've been to a lot of doctors for the past 8 years trying to figure out what's wrong with me. I started to get double vision, like blurred vision, bouts of that. And I'd feel tired all the time. I would sleep 8 hours or 10 hours and feel like I'd only slept an hour. And so I did different doctors would try sending me for different tests, and no one seemed to know what was wrong with me. Eventually it got to the point where I had to move from my home in the Caribbean because it was just so hot and I would pass out and I couldn't tolerate the heat. My brain fog was bad. I couldn't find words. I had trouble with my memory, and I just wouldn't sweat. It was the weirdest thing. And I eventually realized that I needed to try and figure out what was wrong with me. I figured I might have POTS or something like that. And I found a video on YouTube about a girl with POTS, and that she went to this clinic, Northwest Functional Neurology. And so I called them up and I came up, and I just remember for the first time after they hooked me up and did all of these tests that no one had done on me, like no one had done any of these tests. And I remember just for the first time feeling like I'm not crazy. Like I had doctors like making me think that I was crazy, it was psychological, nothing was wrong with me. And that was really nice to be able to see like a visual on a computer screen, like pull up what was actually wrong with me, and them saying that they could treat me and they could fix it. And my fourth day here, my fourth day of treatments, I woke up day 4 in the morning and I felt like I had slept maybe 5 hours. And it was like a big thing. I felt like so much better. And I was telling everyone in the clinic, I was so excited. I was like, this is what happened and I feel so great. And you can imagine after 8 years of being ill, just being able to feel like you've got sleep. But little by little, like I started to, I've noticed I started to sweat, you know, that started coming back. My fatigue started to go away, and the fatigue went away, sweating started to come back, and like my brain started working better, like my memory, my cognitive, I could find words and I wasn't tired. And eventually now I feel like I sleep 8 hours a night or 9 hours a night, however long I sleep, I feel good. I wake up and my health has been stable and I just feel so much better. There's so many things I know I'm not remembering them because I'm just excited, but there's so many things that have improved in my life, like the blurred vision and the dizziness and all of that. And the fatigue is gone, and it's just nice to be able to function again and to have just hope. And yeah, that's basically it. But so many things, sometimes people don't link your symptoms together, and they did. Like they knew exactly what was wrong with me. They even knew symptoms that I didn't mention or I didn't have. I didn't mention that I had. One of my very early on doctors, she sympathized with me. She could tell that I was sick, you know, that it wasn't psychological. She could tell some of the symptoms and she could clearly tell that something was wrong. She just didn't know what. So she would send me to specialists. But my last doctor, just before I came up here, she had been seeing me for a year, and she just had the last visit, she looked at me and she's like, "You've always got something wrong with you. you know, you think it's always some new thing, you know, it's always this, it's always that. Like, she's like, I've done your blood work, you don't have fatigue, your CBC looks fine. And she said, I'm gonna send you to a shrink. And she's like, and I said, you know, I have a counselor I go to, I have a therapist I see. And I was like, I can give you her number, but she was like, no, we're sending you to a shrink. You know, it's in your head, you're not sick, there's nothing wrong with you. And it was just very difficult to hear someone who you've been in their office and they, you know, like it's difficult when someone's supposed to help you and they literally tell you that you're crazy and that the symptoms, you know, it's just in your head. When you actually have physical symptoms, clear physical symptoms, but they're just not aware with like this field that's going on, this field that's wrong with you. And so it's difficult. And I think that was my last push to come here, because having someone tell you crazy, and when you know you're sick, and when you know you used to be well, and when you know your life is great and everything is fine in your life, you know, there's nothing in your life that's wrong. You have a great job and you have a great, you know, you have a great partner and everything's happy, and then someone telling you, no, there's, you know, you're just unhappy and you're making things up. And that's very, very difficult to hear that. When I first came in, what I noticed is they put blood pressure cuffs on both of my arms. I had never had that done before. And clearly they must have been like comparing the differences, and it gave them data that they wouldn't normally have. And no one had ever done that for me. None of my doctors had ever done that. And like immediately, like they knew, they were like, oh, okay, well, you know. And for me, it's a big thing. It's like, wow, so just that simple thing, just one simple thing, it just proves that, yeah, something is wrong with you, and none of the other doctors did it. So, and that's the point, is that when you're ill, you need to go to someone who understands the field in which you're ill and understands how to fix it. And that was an eye-opener for me. But even all the other tests, like all of the tests of them knowing where, like they figured out exactly what area of my brain isn't communicating to the rest of my body, and how to target that. They did tests about following my eyes and on the computer screen and basically seeing what's going on in the different areas of my brain, and that allowed them to know which area was damaged and which area needs fixing. One of the things they did, they were able to hook me up and do some tests on me with like my eye coordination and stuff, and see which areas of my brain were communicating to the rest of my body. And they basically figured out that my brain doesn't really know where my body is in space. And they figured out like it was a thing with my right ear canal. And then they were able to target that. They have different treatments that they use, like TMS, and I did all different treatments, hyperbaric and other stuff. But that was a relief in and of itself, having someone be able to target the exact area of your brain and treat that and fix that and tell you where the problem is that your brain doesn't really know where it is and in space. And that helped me, like with my dizziness. That was like one of my biggest things, is I constantly felt like I was like on a boat. Like, you know, you go on a cruise ship and then you get off and then you go in small spaces and then everything's kind of floaty. And that's kind of how I felt pretty much all the time. So yeah, that's nice to not have that anymore and to have a feeling of steadiness. And I actually went roller skating just like 2 days ago. So that was nice to be able to do activities that you can't normally do. One of the things I did to help figure out the areas of the brain that were off in the exact angle is they stuck me in this machine that like flips me around. It's almost like being in a roller coaster, and it flips you around on different angles and different ways. And then they take a video camera of your pupils and your eyes and see what your eyes are doing. And so that gives them feedback as to the areas of your brain that are responding and aren't. And so basically then you do treatments and then it builds up your tolerance. Like they exactly target those angles, the angles that you're weak in. And for me, it was like back, it was like all the way back to the left, like upside down halfway. And it was a certain section and I just feel like so nauseous. And little by little, as they were treating me, like as the days went by, I could tolerate it more and more. And I made a joke to one of the doctors. I was like, this is why I don't like roller coasters. And I said, can I go on a roller coaster now? And he laughed and he said, probably not, and you're not funny. But it was so funny. But yeah, so it was nice. It was nice. One of the biggest things like overall in my life that's changed, like I wish I could like pinpoint things, but it's such a big thing that it's like everything, because when you have fatigue all the time, you can't work. Like you can't keep a job. Like you're tired all the time. Like it's the weirdest thing, like not getting good sleep. And I think one of the doctors had mentioned to me that I guess my brain was firing at night. Even though my body was sleeping, my brain was firing at night. And so that's what happened, was my brain wasn't sleeping. And so with the treatments, then my brain actually started sleeping at night. So in all day long, I have like actual normal people's energy. I actually feel like I slept like a normal person. And yeah, and just not feeling like you're in a boat that's rocking all the time. And just not, don't have the double vision and now also, like, I know they tell you like how to deal with some of the stuff or how to like fix some of the things, but I haven't had to do that actually. In the last 4 months, I've been good. Like my memory's clear, I noticed. My brain starts to function. Like I know, like when I'm driving somewhere, I know exactly where I was driving or where I was going or what I was doing. That's something I didn't do before. I'd forget constantly, and I like was very scattered. I basically really couldn't function. I basically just stayed at home and became a hermit. And yeah, so now I'm back to just actually living life and going out and driving and doing things and working and just pacing myself throughout the day. I say pacing myself, but I mean like I guess not having to pace myself, where you're not winded every 5 minutes and you're not tired all the time. And yeah, I know I'm missing things because there's so much that's different. I know I'm missing stuff. Oh, and like one of the things, like when I came in that I didn't mention because I don't tell people. I don't think I've ever told any of my doctors this. I couldn't have, like, my bowel movements, like my brain wasn't like talking to my body, like, and so I would get like bloated and I would get like all of these trouble, and that it just went, I think like day 5 or 6, it started to get better. And then eventually like I had a flat stomach and everything worked. It's like my brain is communicating to my body again. And it's so nice to have like, just be a whole person. It's nice. People in the clinic, they're so real and they're just, oh my gosh, it just makes you feel so great. It makes you feel like so good as a human being. And I'm always upbeat when I'm at the clinic, and some people are like, are you just always this chipper? Like, I'm just so happy because I'm just getting better and I'm happy to be here and I'm happy it's just like all of it. The environment is soothing and healing and I just love it. And so I think that for me, like I will always have a safe space like at the clinic. Like I know that no matter what's going on, like that's the place. Like if anything ever happens with me or a friend or something that even has similar symptoms, I know that that's the place to go. And like it's just nice to feel like you're heard and you have a voice, and there's a place that does believe in fixing you. And they have a cute little quote on the counter about service, about how life is service and serving is life. And I thought that was really lovely. Like, and that's basically their motto. That's how they are, is like they want to get you better. I would say to someone like thinking of coming to the clinic, I would say that they're going to be like the only people that actually believe you and actually like validate you and know, and not just believe you because you say it. You're going to come in, you're going to tell them what's wrong with you, and they are going to not just believe you, they're going to like exactly prove to you, and you're going to see it on a computer screen, and you're going to see all your stats. They're going to hook you up and do tests, and they're going to show you exactly what's wrong with you, and it's going to prove what you believed all along. And then they're going to tell you, we can fix this. And that is so cool, like to hear those words, to be validated. And I think that's going to be the biggest like thing, is for people to come in and just know that they've got your back, you know. And then the other thing I've really loved about the clinic is, for me, like, the walls are all dark. Everything's like a nice soothing color for me, like bright colors and bright lights and bright everything was an issue for me. And the clinics is very quiet, and it's very calm, and it's just like a very relaxing for your brain, when your brain just feels like everything is too much stimulus, too much stimuli. Yeah. And the doctors are all awesome. They all have like a great sense of humor, because I like to make jokes all the time, because it's how I stay positive when you go through so much. Like, you have to have a sense of humor. Yeah, because I literally spent 2 years of my life completely bedridden, where I just couldn't tolerate walking, I couldn't tolerate anything. And so to the last few years, and so to have that sense of humor and have the doctors like understand it and understand my dark sense of humor and be okay with it, it was really cool. So that was a plus. That was an extra.